Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Blake. I am new to YouTube and I thought, a lot of people comment if I'm out and about the fact that I make Briley's purees from scratch, like baby food. But to me, I feel like they're not that hard. I also only have one kid, so who knows when we have multiple kids if I'll be able to do this. But for now, I am able to do this. I cook for my husband and I, and when she's older, I'm gonna have to cook anyway, so I might as well get used to making extra food. I mean, my mom actually gave me the idea for this video and said, a lot of people might wanna see how easy it can be. So each recipe, the longest it takes is the cooking time, and half the time it's either roasting or it's cooking in a steamer or boiling or whatever the recipe calls for at the time, and then you blend it. I do use a Vitamix blender, so that is a very good blender, but I feel like a lot of these recipes really cook down the fruits and the veggies enough to where any blender would probably be just fine. A food processor is fine, a NutriBullet would be great. I know they have like NutriBullet type machines that are just like specifically baby food machines. Those would work too. I'll link a couple of options down below that you could use as like blender or food processor options. I do have a couple of helpful items that if you're gonna puree, they really come in handy. The first one is this Baby Martis silicone mat. Don't mind the watermarks on the front of it. I use this thing all the time. In fact, it's killing me because I've been keeping it empty so that I can use it for this video, and I have like stacked up purees that I really needed to get to freezing. But it is silicone, and this was actually hand-me-down from my mother-in-law. She nannies for a little boy, and his mom was getting rid of it, and she nabbed it for me, so I was so happy for that. So if you're watching, thank you, Susan. You know I use it all the time. So it really comes in handy to have one of these. I actually just ordered another one from Amazon, which should be here in a couple days, because I make so many purees at a time that it would be nice to have more to freeze at a time, because this is like one recipe at a time. Sorry, my dog's scratching her face over here. Hey, stop. And then when I take the cubes out of there, which again, I'll show you at the end of the video, I just put them into a Tupperware and then I can grab and go. Easy peasy. So the other fun little hand-me-down I recommend are these bags. I know you've probably seen them at the store and you're like, this isn't anything new, but these are actually reusable. So they have, it's kind of hard to see. Yeah, there you go. This little like zipper that you can like close, and it really seals it. And then this lid goes on and off and solves it. These also came with this fun little, I don't even know what I'd call this thing. And you basically fill the food up into here. I did it with one of the recipes. Fill the food up into here, and then you push it out, and it comes out of this little tube right here. And you take these guys, and you just put it on the end of it. Let me get closer. That was weird. Okay, you just put it on the end of it like this. And then you take the top when there's food in it and you fill it like so. Again, you'll see it in the video of me using it with actual food in it. This can get a little bit messy, and you also will waste a little, which I show you in the recipe that I use it for. You'll waste a little because it'll get stuck like here in the bottom, just because there is a little edging right here, and you'll see. You can also find these on Amazon. I will link the one I'm getting from the Baby Martis that I'm getting from Amazon. It's a different brand, but same concept. I'll link that one and these guys below, so that if you guys are interested in buying it, then you'll have an easy link to get it. Now that you know my fun little toys that I have, I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comment section below, and I definitely will. I'm always trying new fruits and veggies and all kinds of things for Briley, so if you want to see more of these, let me know. I will definitely do more. I hope you guys enjoy the video. I wish you guys were there for that. I just had oatmeal spill all over me because it was opened right here. That was nice. Okay, so the first recipe that we are going to be doing is apples. It's apple and cinnamon oatmeal puree. I've made this one already for Briley, so I do know that she likes this one. And this one's gonna call for 1 cup of steel cut oatmeal, 1 apple cored and sliced, an 1/8 teaspoon of cinnamon, and that's it. So basically what you're going to do is boil 3 cups of water. And you can see here I'm just peeling the apple and roughly chopping it. I will also have a bucket full of peels and such in the background of almost every recipe because we've got chickens and they will eat it. So there's my 1 cup of steel cut oats and my 1 apple roughly chopped. And then I just eyeball the cinnamon because I did the 1/8 of a teaspoon on the first go around and I realized that you could use more. Okay, so after you bring the 3 cups of water to a boil, you add the oatmeal, the apples, and the cinnamon, as you saw. And then you reduce the heat to a simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then you add water if it gets too dry, because you don't want it too stiff. However, I didn't add the extra quarter cup of water. I haven't needed to, so just throwing that out there. And then I've also noticed that each time I've made this recipe, it takes a little bit longer than 10 to 15 minutes. So just keep that in mind, just kind of eyeball it. You can always taste test when oatmeal is done, so just test it as you go and eyeball it. And then here you can see me using my, I don't know what I ended up calling this, a plunger. You can see me using my plunger here. And I had a little bit of extra that didn't quite fit into that plunger, so I just put it in a little jar for her. And then you just push it down and it squirts on in. And then I was sealing all of these, except for this one. I realized it wasn't sealed, and I kind of realized they work better if you don't close the end until you're done filling them. So just a little tip for you. Close it after you filled it, like right there, and then close it. You see me going and closing it. And then also you want to wait to put the other one on because it will squirt out when it's full. And you can kind of see there what I was talking about earlier, how there's like a lot of the extra food kind of can get stuck at the bottom. So just, I mean, I pushed really hard and I got most of it out, but you still lose a little bit. And then I just went ahead and threw these ones in the freezer because they were my to-go bags. And all right, so recipe number 2 is a mango and kale puree. And I'll have all these recipes listed below. They're all on my Pinterest, so I'll just literally leave the link to my Pinterest baby food purees board below. All right, so this one you're gonna have 2 mangoes, 2 pears, a 1/2 cup to 1 cup of kale, and 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. I did not have 2 pears. I did have 2 mangoes. As you can see, I cut through the first mango. It was not very, it was kind of bad. It kind of went bad. So I went ahead and tossed that one. So I grabbed this one. Oh, this one was absolutely delicious. As you can see, I had to nibble on the seed a little bit. And so I cut this recipe in half this time. I just made it actually yesterday again, and I doubled the recipe, and I do think it's a little bit better. So I recommend following the exact recipe. I think I added a little bit more kale the second time around too, and it's not nearly as sweet, which I really like for Riley. You know, it's all healthy foods, but I just try to keep her sugar intake down, even if it's natural sugars. So you just add the 3 of those, the mango, the pears, and the kale, into a boiling steamer. And then you cover that for 8 minutes. After the 8 minutes, you can add it into a blender, and you add a little bit of the ginger in with it. I was very, very easy on my ginger this time because she hasn't had it. And I was a little scared, but I've made it the second time around, and I followed the recipe amount, and she'll eat it and has no problem with it. Also, the recipe did call for a little bit of extra water. I don't recommend it. It made the puree very, very watery. As you can see, it poured in way too easy. I think that this is a little too watery. It made for feeding her kind of messy. I ended up adding some potato to it just to try and thicken it up a bit. All right, and so here is recipe number 3. It is butternut squash, bananas, and cinnamon. It calls for 1 small butternut squash, 2 ripe bananas, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. So what you want to do is preheat your oven to 425 degrees, and then cut the spinach in half and scoop out the seeds like I am doing. And then after, you want to put the butternut squash on a lined baking sheet. You can use parchment paper, foil, whatever you have on hand. I was still waiting for the oven to heat up at the time, so I was getting all the ingredients out. As you can see, I did not have 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, so uh-oh on that. So once the oven is at 425, you put the butternut squash in the oven for 45 minutes, and then you cook until it is easily pierced with a fork. After that, you let it sit for 5 minutes before touching, and then the peel should basically peel off. I probably could have let mine sit in a little bit longer, but for time purposes, I did not have the time to let it sit longer than the 45 minutes, so I just went to town on it, and it worked out fine. It was just a little hot, and you had to do like a little bit of work, but it wasn't hard at all. So after that, I just put the butternut squash and the bananas and the cinnamon all into a blender, and I blended that. I will say a lot of purees seem like they're gonna need more water, but if you just give it time for your blender to like continue blending it, as you can see, that one was like perfect consistency, and I almost added water to it, and I'm so glad I didn't. I wanted a little extra for Riley to have for dinner at night, but I put a little too much in. And then just pouring it into my little cube dividers to put in the freezer and freeze for storage. And then as you can see, I only put them in a small amount at a time because I don't want to have like halfway filled cubes. I want them all to be more or less the same size. So I go slowly to fill each and every one of them. And then when I'm done, I just, as you can kind of see there, I try to bang it up and down. Hi guys, welcome. Hi. So I'm on to the 3rd, 4th recipe, I think. Yeah. She's loved them all so far. Yeah. So I'm curious and excited to see how she's gonna like this next one. She really likes broccoli, but I'm going to do an apple broccoli spinach puree. Hi, you gonna stay down so I can make you some food? So as you just heard me explain, I am doing a broccoli, spinach, and apple. This was the only recipe that I did use my Cuisinart for. I just felt like it was a lot of food and I was worried it wouldn't fit in the blender. I think it would have been fine. It would have just been pretty full. So this recipe calls for 3 apples peeled and cored like you just saw me do, 1 cup of broccoli, and 1 cup of spinach. I also doubled this recipe because I had so much broccoli and I still didn't use as much as I had. So that's why you see me cutting more apples, because I needed more. So you basically bring 2 inches of water in a steamer pot to a boil, add in the apples, the broccoli, and then you are going to cover and steam this for 7 minutes. After the 7 minutes, then you add the spinach and you steam it for another 2 minutes. I just happened to have a perfect amount of spinach left over, which was awesome. I love when that works out that way. Once you steam the spinach over the broccoli and apples, then you blend in the food processor. You want to blend it for a little bit of time in the food processor because the broccoli can be kind of chunky, so you want to try and get that up unless your baby likes chunks. Riley is not a fan. We've been working on having things a little bit more chunky because, you know, she's gonna start eating food soon. Yeah, she likes things pureed.
And then I also noticed when I was making it that it wasn't very thick. I tried to show you, but it was hard to see, but you can see how it kind of stayed on the spoon. So I added a 1/4 cup of water. It said that you can add water, you just want to do it in like 1/4 cup increments. And then I was trying to show you there and it fell off the spoon into there and splatted. So you can kind of see the consistency got a little bit better. You could have added more water if you wanted. It didn't really need it. So I had a ton of extras of this, so I had to put this in one at a time, freeze it, and put the rest in these little jars, and she loved this stuff. This was her favorite. She finished this before all the rest of them because they were so delicious to her. And then these mason jars you can get at Walmart, Target, Amazon, your local grocery store probably. All right, so recipe number 5. I just did a pretty easy mango and banana. I actually used frozen banana because that's what I had on hand. So our store has been having really great sales on mangoes lately. So that's the reason for all the mangoes in these recipes. I know mangoes aren't normally cheap. It was just what was on sale at the store. So I thought I'd throw this one like so simple, easy recipe. It's literally a mango and 1 frozen banana. But as you can see, I didn't have to cook anything and it made the perfect texture and she loved it. It's a little intense on the mango side, so just be aware of that. But after like 2 bites, she was like asking for more. She loved it. So this is like the simplest recipe of all of them. All right, and then this is recipe number 6. It is a sweet potato, apple, and carrot puree. So this recipe calls for 3 apples, cored, peeled, and chopped, 1 sweet potato, peeled and chopped, and 2 medium carrots. And what you're going to do is bring 2 inches of water to boil in a steamer, add all the ingredients, and then you will cover and cook those for 10 to 12 minutes. I went ahead and did the longer time and I still don't feel like that was enough. It was still pretty hard. I don't remember if it was the sweet potatoes or the carrots. I will say the apples. I mean, apples aren't super hard as it is, so I wasn't too worried about those. But I felt like it just needed a little bit longer. So I added 5 more minutes to the timer and that seemed to be perfect. So after that is done, you take it out and you add it to your blender. So as you can see, this is how it looks after it is frozen a little bit. It's in a nice hard solid cube and I just put them into a Tupperware. Just like that, and I put the lid on and I just put that back into the freezer, kind of like an ice cube tray.
So there are my 6 easy and affordable purees for babies. As you saw in my title, I labeled it cheap and easy. I feel like these are easy, so I apologize if it seems like a lot of work to you, and if you have any questions or need any tips or anything, feel free to message me or find me on Instagram and reach out. I'll definitely help you guys with anything you need. My tip to you would be look in your fridge, see the ingredients that you already have. Do you have a bunch of apples that you want to get rid of? Make some applesauce out of them. Throw them in with some bananas. Bananas and apples, super easy. Or, you know, if you have some broccoli that left over, you know, add some carrots to it. Roast them in the oven, steam them, you know, you can do all kinds of different things. Just, you know, use your imagination a little, or reach out to Pinterest and Google. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I've got a mango, I've got a banana. Like, that's literally how I found that mango and banana recipe that I made. I Googled it. I've had a ton of mangoes and I always have bananas on hand, whether they're frozen or fresh. And I typed in mango banana puree and that's what popped up. So, you know, if you need any tips or if you have any questions, feel free to message me below. Find me on Instagram at Mrs. Brewski and I'll definitely be able to help you guys out. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it that thumbs up and don't forget to hit that red subscribe button so you don't miss another video in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys.